Hey dancers, welcome back to our channel. I'm Julie and I'm the owner and one of the instructors here at Broche Ballet, a ballet school for adults in Denver, Colorado. Today I want to take you through my favorite stretching routine. You can follow along with this at home. We're going to go through a little bit of a warm-up, then we're going to do a little bit of stretching so you can really take this video from start to finish and get a good stretch for your hips, your lower back, your upper back, and everything in between. So let's get started. I like to start by doing just a little nice roll down. So I'm going to face the side here so you can see what's going on. So I like to start with my feet about shoulder width apart. I like to tuck my chin and roll all the way down to the ground. If you can't reach all the way, that's fine. You can hang there. You can also do a soft bend in your knees until you can reach the ground. Really dropping your head, letting your head hang heavy. Letting the weight of your head pull you down all the way to the ground. Grab your elbows with each hand. You can sway gently from side to side. Take a very soft bend in your knees so you're not locking your knees back there. Again, letting the head hang long. You can shake it yes and no if you need to release it. Good. Hang down here for a little bit longer. Just enjoying the stretch. Good. When you're ready, go a little deeper and curl all the way back up. Go a little wider with the feet and curl down again. All the way down to the ground, taking your time. If you can't reach the ground, that's fine. You can have a soft bend in the knees so you can reach. Bend your left leg and keep your right leg straight so you get a little bit more stretch in your right inner thigh. The other way. Bend your right leg and keep your left leg straight so you get a stretch in your left inner thigh. Back to center. Walk your hands over to your right ankle. Lift your right arm up to the sky and look up at it so you get a nice twist and hamstring stretch. Bend your left leg, keep your right leg straight, and stretch back up. Walk your hands through the middle to your left side. Lift your left arm and look up at it. Bending your right leg. And stretch back up. Drop both hands down to the middle. Again, you can sway gently side to side with your elbows, holding your elbows with your hands. And then soft bend in the knees. Curl all the way up. Make sure you go very slowly so you don't get a head rush. So that's how I like to get started. It's a great way to get warmed up. So next up, I like to work on my hips a little bit now that I've worked on my hamstrings. So bring your right leg forward. It doesn't really matter which leg you start with, but I'm going to start with my right leg forward and my left leg back. I like to have a little mat handy that I can drop my knee down on once I get ready for that stretch. You don't have to. You can do it on carpet or whatever you have at home. But in a studio floor or hardwood, I like to have that pad. So here in your runner's lunge, if you can't reach, you can put some pillows under your hands so you can sit up a little bit more. You're working on that back leg being straight. You don't want that leg to be bent back there. You want that leg to be straight, feeling like you're pressing out your heel into the back of the room. Trying to drop your pelvis lower with every breath so you're not sitting up here. You want to really drop every breath. We're going to hang out here a little bit longer. You can rock back and forth if you need a little release. Feeling your left hip flexor. Feeling the stretch. Then you're going to turn your right leg out, so you're going to walk it away from you. Open your knee. You're welcome to stay up here on the palms. Same thing, that back leg should stay straight. If you need a little more of a challenge, you can drop all the way down to the forearms and hang out here, trying to have a long spine. Don't tuck your head and curl your spine. Try to reach your spine out long. We'll hang out here for a little bit. Again, you can rock gently back and forth, feeling that left hip flexor releasing further down to the ground. This really gets those hips warmed up, so if you haven't done anything with your hips yet, spend a little bit of extra time here in these lunges to get some blood flowing into your hips before you start stretching them. Drop your left knee down to the mat. Walk your right leg back so that your legs are parallel, like they're on train tracks. And then you're going to lean forward onto your right leg with your hands up on your knee. This is really to stretch that left hip flexor, keeping that back leg reaching closer and closer to the ground. If you need more, you can press up even higher on that leg, maybe even lift your arm. You can experiment, see which arm feels better for you. We'll hang out here for just a little bit longer. With every breath, breathe in, breathe out, and settle into that stretch. Really relax into it. Tell your brain that nothing weird is going on. This is all very normal. No need to tense those muscles. Drop your left hand down to the mat. Reach for your foot behind you with your right hand. So this is the opposite hand to foot. If you can't reach it, you can take a TheraBand or a scarf or something. You can wrap it around your back foot and grab the TheraBand instead of your foot. So you can grab the TheraBand like this instead, or if you can reach, you can grab all the way to your foot. Again, we're really trying to release into this stretch. So your hips, you want to get them closer and closer to the ground with every breath. Breathe in, and with the exhale, get that hip closer to the ground. This is maybe stretching all the way up into the left hip flexor, but if you only feel it in the quad, it just means that you're really tightening that quad, and it might only be a quad stretch for today. And we'll come back up into what I call the unimpressive stretch. I call it that because it doesn't look like we're doing anything. So you'll notice that my back leg is at a right angle. I'm not forward on that leg like I was in lunge. My leg is at a right angle back there. This knee right here is at a right angle. Then I'm going to squeeze my left glute so that my pelvis will tuck up and under. So you want to feel like your pelvis is squeezing up and under. You want to feel this on your left hip flexor side. If you can't feel it, you can try lifting your right hip a little bit so you can get that pelvis tucked even further in. If you still can't feel it, you can try to lean back a little bit on your left hip or lift your left arm to try and feel it a little bit more. So we'll hang out here in this unimpressive stretch for a while. You can massage if you need anywhere that's tight. Again, this one may not get all the way up into your hip flexor today. If your quad is really tight, it might just be a quad stretch, and that's okay. Once your quad loosens up, you'll be able to creep up into the hip flexor. From here, we're going to sit down on your left hip. I'm going to do this one facing you so you can see. We're going to sit down on the left hip with your knee down on the ground and your foot close to you. If it's too intense, you can bring your foot farther away. The closer it is, the more intense it will be. This foot is just straight out in front. And then we're going to lean back onto our elbows. If you want, you can go all the way down to the floor. I personally feel this stretch more on my forearms than all the way on the floor, but I have a lot of dancers who feel this more laying all the way on the floor. If you need more intensity, but you want to stay up on your forearms, you can squeeze your left glute so that your hips will tip and lift up to the sky. So squeezing and lifting. This is really getting the whole front of that leg, that whole quad chain. Sometimes it'll get up into the hip flexors, but more commonly this one is mostly just for the quad stretch. So we'll lay here for a little bit longer. Really try to actively squeeze that glute so that your hips are working and creating the stretch with your own muscles. So you're squeezing that glute, pressing your hip up to the sky to increase the stretch. And we'll come back up and do this whole thing on the other leg. So we'll start with the left leg front, the right leg back, again starting in that lunge. You want to have a nice long spine. Keep that back knee really long and straight. You can rock forward and back if you need a little release. We'll just hang out here for a little bit. Again, working some blood into that hip in case you haven't used that hip yet today and you want to get started stretching. Spend a little bit of extra time here, really working those hips, actively using them to hold you up. This should be a little bit tiring if you're doing it correctly and really lifting that back knee and feeling like you're pressing out into your heel, like your heel is trying to reach the back of the room. Again, not rounding the back, really keep that back nice and long and tall so you get one big long line across your body. And we'll turn out the left leg, walk it out a little bit away from you. So you're turning it out and walking it away from you. Again, keeping this back leg super straight, keeping your spine long. If you want to reach all the way down to the forearms, you can. Just don't let your back round. Really making sure your back is nice and long and that back leg is straight. far away as possible, both reaching for opposite ends of the room. And we'll drop the knee down to the mat. Walk your left leg back into parallel so your legs are right in line with each other. Your left leg, your legs are about hip width apart. And we're going to press forward, resting on your left knee. Again, with every breath, really pressing this hip forward and under. We're just going to hang out here for a little bit. If you need more, you can lift your right arm. You can try your left arm. You can try both. Play with it a little bit. See where you get the most stretch. Really trying to feel it all the way down this right quad, maybe up into the hip flexor. Feeling nice and tall in your upper body, not hunching over. Getting nice and tall. Every breath releases something that doesn't need to be tense. Trying to get farther down to the ground with every breath. When you're ready, drop your hand down. Reach for your foot with your other hand. So this will be my left hand reaching for my right foot. Again, if you can't reach, you can use that TheraBand. So you would wrap the TheraBand around your foot and grab it with your left hand from the back. So you're going to grab that foot and trying to press your hip farther and farther into the ground. Again, don't punch your back and round. So you don't want this knee to be straight up and down. You want that knee, your hip to be reaching forward all the way down and pulling your foot closer to you as much as you can. Long spine, dropping the hip down with every breath. Breathing in and releasing out, dropping closer to the mat. Again, you might feel this one in the quad, you might feel it all the way up to the hip flexors. Just depends on what's the tightest part of your body. The tightest part is going to feel that stretch first before the others. Just hang out here for a little bit longer. Let go of that knee, that foot. Come back up for our unimpressive stretch. So again, this bottom leg is at a right angle. Don't make it be forward. You want it to be straight up and down so you can tuck your pelvis. You're going to engage your right glute, press your pelvis up and under. If you can't feel it, you can lift your left hip up so you can help feel that stretch. You want to feel it all the way up into your hip flexor ideally. If you can't and you only feel it in your quad, that's okay. It just means your quad is really tight. So feeling it all the way up here. Again, if you need more, you can lift your arm. Tuck your pelvis more, you can lean back, you can experiment with it and see where you feel the most stretch. You can massage wherever it feels the tightest. We'll hang out here for a little while. Really stretching, getting into the front of those hips. We need the front of the hips to be really flexible for things like our arabesque, for even just doing tendu back without letting the hip leave the ground. And also your splits. A lot of people think that it's the front leg in the splits that's the limiting factor, but a lot of times it's that back hip flexor that's really keeping you from being able to extend the back leg. The front hamstring certainly has a lot to do with it, but that back hip flexor is also really important when it comes to the splits. So that's why we're spending so much time working on the front of the hips today. From there, we're going to sit down on that right hip. Again, we've got the foot as close to you as you want. Again, farther away is a less intense stretch, and closer in is more intense. So you're going to lean back to the forearms. Again, you can go all the way down to the floor if you'd like. I prefer forearms, but you can go all the way down to the floor. Engage your right glute. Press up so your hips tilt off the mat. And we'll stretch here for a little while. Really feeling, again, ideally all the way up into the hip flexor, but if you only feel it into the quads today, that's fine. It just means your quads are really tight. So feeling it all the way up as high as you can go. Engaging that right glute as much as you can to make it a very active stretch. Really pressing up with that hip, up to the sky. This will be our last one for the hip flexor, then we're going to hit the outside of the hip and a little bit more on the hamstrings. All right, and let's come back out of it. So push yourself up onto your hands and uncurl your legs. So next I like to work on the outside of my hips and my hamstrings. These are both very important areas. The hamstrings, again, for the splits, and then the outside of the hip for turnout and attitude front and all that good stuff. So I like to start sitting on the floor. I like to use a TheraBand for this, just so I can get a little bit more active of a stretch. So I like to start by wrapping the TheraBand around my feet. And then I want to lift up nice and tall on my back. I don't want to be hunched over like this. I want to be up as tall as I can be. I want to grab the TheraBand one side in each hand. And then what I want to do is pull using my elbows. So you want to actually bend your arms and pull yourself closer to your feet. Ideally, you're actively flexing your feet, trying to press the bottom of your knees into the ground, not letting them come off the ground, but really working hard to press them down into the ground so you can get a nice active hamstring stretch. So we're going to sit and pull a little bit closer. We're going to pull for a little while, really feeling the flatness of your back again, not rounding the back, flattening the back out, feeling like your heels are trying to reach far, far away from the feeling right here out the heels is really trying to reach. So we lengthen the back of the leg. Another way to feel this is to feel like you're lifting your kneecaps in the front, like you're really engaging the front of your leg to help you feel the back lengthening. Some people that can help. Some people really feel the length in the back of their leg. And with every breath, we're going to go a little further down. So breathe in and breathe out, sort of give into the stretch, settle into the stretch. Don't worry about it. Don't let the stress go into your muscles. A lot of times that tension is just your brain being scared that you're going to rip your legs off, which is a pretty valid fear, but it's not really that useful, and the tenseness of your muscles is actually what's going to get you injured. So you want to relax it, relax that tension in your muscles, let it go with every breath, further and further. Breathing. When you've had enough of that, we're going to release the TheraBand and just stretch over, trying to reach, if you can, reach anything on your body. You can reach your calves, you can reach your knees. You can reach all the way to your feet, that's great too. But really reaching. Drop your head. Let the weight of your head pull you down. Reaching. We'll hang out here for just a little bit longer. You can close your eyes, feel the tension release with every breath. Breathe in and breathe out. And release some more tension in your hamstrings. Go a little bit further. And we'll reach out and we'll come back up. We'll come all the way down to the ground. Take your TheraBand with you. You don't have to use a TheraBand for this section. I like to just because it's a little bit easier to grab my foot, but you're more than welcome to just use your hands. So we're going to lay all the way back down. You're going to pick a foot, any foot. I'll start with the right foot. And we're going to work on that hamstring. So I like to wrap the TheraBand around my foot. You are also more than welcome to grab your thigh or grab your calf wherever you're the most comfortable. For me, I find it just a little bit easier to relax to the ground when I'm using the TheraBand versus feeling like I need to hold my calf or my thigh is a little bit more work. So I like this approach a little bit better. So what I'm doing is I'm really trying to lengthen the back of the leg. I don't want to have my knee a little bit bent. I want to try to lengthen the back of the leg. We'll hold it here for a little bit. Keeping this nice and long. Maybe flexing the foot actively. Feeling this nice and long. So you're feeling on the one hand your leg pushing into the TheraBand and your hand pulling the TheraBand close to you. This is going to keep it a very active stretch so your hamstring is working as well as being stretched at the same time. So you're pushing with your leg that way into the TheraBand and you're pulling the TheraBand over towards you. Every breath releases something. Now we'll try just a little release. So you're going to bend your knee as high as your thigh will get to your chest and you're going to hug your thigh with your hand. Try to keep your thigh right where it is and work on stretching the leg up. The goal here is not to get your leg all the way straight. We want to keep your thigh in the same spot and then work on straightening the leg, the lower half of the leg. This is a really active hamstring stretch and really gets it warmed up. You can try a little quick one or you can try one and hold it at the top of where you can't go anymore. You might feel a few little shakes here and that's all right. It's just the muscles kind of warming up and figuring out what's going on. So let's hold it just a little bit longer now that we warmed it up with every breath, trying to pull it closer to you. Again, if you're grabbing with your hands, that's totally fine. Still trying to pull it closer to you. Then let's rotate your legs. So we're going to rotate it in and out of the hip socket. You're going to rotate it to the side and in, out, and in, out, and in. We're going to keep it turned in. And we're going to bring it across your body to the left, about 2 to 5 inches. Keeping the back of the knee really straight. Don't let it bend. Keeping straight. You might anywhere down along the outside of that leg. Keep this hip on the ground. Don't let that hip come off the ground. Keep it down over there. Stretch there for a little bit. And then we'll release the leg. Let's do that whole thing on the other leg. So again, take the TheraBand, or if you're going to grab with your hand, that's totally fine too. And we're going to hold it for just a little bit before we do our active knee bend and stretch. You might notice one side is significantly more flexible than another. That is very normal. A lot of times we have one side that's stronger and less flexible, and vice versa, weaker and more flexible. Sometimes we have a combination of both. The body is very interesting how it works, and the imbalances and all that. It's very interesting. So take note, see what's going on in your body. Try to understand which one's more flexible or less flexible. Let's do our bend and stretch. So you're going to bend, try to hug your thigh, keep it right where it is, and stretch the leg. You'll notice that my left leg certainly doesn't go as far as my right leg. It's definitely my less flexible leg, also my weaker leg. Bend and stretch, bending and stretching, bend and stretch, bend and stretch. And we're going to bring it back to a point where we can actually keep it straight. And hold it here for just a little bit longer. With every breath, trying to bring that leg closer to you. Breathing. Exhale, bring it closer. Breathe in. Exhale, bring it closer. Breathe in and bring it closer. And we'll rotate the leg in and out. Really feeling all the stuff going on in that hip socket. Be very gentle here. Very gentle. You never know what you're going to find. So move very slowly. Listen to your body. If anything is sharp or pinching or grinding, definitely stop immediately. You never want to feel any of those words. Stretching is okay, but those are not good. And let's keep the leg turned in. Keep that knee super straight and move it across your body 2 to 5 inches. If you need more, you can sickle your foot, so pulling your foot in more towards the inside of your body. That'll help maybe get up into the IT band, which is on the outside of that thigh. Hold it here for just a little longer. And then release. Last thing I like to do here is do figure 4 stretch. So you're going to bring your right leg over your left leg, so your right ankle is right on your left knee. You're going to loop your hands through your left side, or through your left thigh. Pull your legs as close to you as you can go, and use your right elbow to press your right knee open. If you need more intensity, take your legs and move them over to the left 2 inches. Still trying to press your knee open with your right hand. If you can't reach it, you can try to hug with your left hand and press with your right hand if you can't reach your elbow to your legs. Sometimes people have a very long torso and short arms and can't reach their knee with their elbow. So you can always try to push with your hand and only hold your knee with one of your hands. So like this. And opening that thigh. With every breath, you're trying to pull your legs either closer to you, press your knee farther open, or move your legs farther to the left. That'll just increase the intensity with every breath. This should really be hitting the outside of that hip. The hip of the knee that's bent. Pulling your legs in. And we'll switch. So your left ankle goes across your right knee. Pull your right knee into your chest with your hands and use your left elbow to press your left knee open. Then again, if you need more intensity, move your legs to the right 2 inches. With every breath, you're pulling your legs closer, more to the right. Pressing your knee farther open. Taking a few breaths here. Breathing, releasing, pulling. Good, and release that leg. And we'll come back up. So now our hamstrings, the outside of our hips, and the front of our hips are all warm. Next up, we're going to hit the inner thighs. So to hit the inner thighs, I like to open my legs up to a straddle, and I like to use a ball. This is a lacrosse ball. You can use a tennis ball, a super ball, a melt ball, anything you've got. You can also even just use your fingers. I like to start by massaging the inner thighs first. They get very tight, and I like to give them a little bit of love before I really start stretching them. So with the ball or with your hands or whatever you've got to use, you're going to take it and you're going to press it right along the inside here of your inner thighs and really try to just break up some of this tissue here. This feels really good. Sometimes you have one leg that needs it and one leg that doesn't, but this can really get in there. There's like a little band of tissue right along the inner thigh that can get really tight and tender. So I like to just give that a little massage and try to break it up before the stretch. So we'll spend just about 30 seconds on each leg here. You can go for, as long as 2 minutes if you'd like, as much as you need. Usually I need about 2 minutes on my left leg and nothing on my right leg. You might be the same, you might be opposite, you might need some on both legs. You can really just experiment with what your body needs. And then we'll do the other leg. So you want to know how far to open your legs up and straddle is just when you feel them stop and you feel the tension increase in your inner thighs. That's about as much as you need in order to get a good ball massage. If they're not tense, like if your legs are out in front of you when you try to massage, nothing's going to happen. So you need your legs to be far enough open so that you can get some tension on that muscle and actually give yourself a massage and break up some of that tissue. Go back to the other side if you need to. Give it a little extra love if you need to. It can take a little while to break all that up. You want to have that be a little bit less tender before you start stretching. So I like to start with my arms up to kind of activate those muscles just a little bit before we start stretching them. So here we are. I want to have a nice tall back. I don't want to round my back. So if I were to do this to the side, you can see that my back is nice and tall and I'm not hunching over. You're really trying to sit up on the front of your pelvis and not let your hips tuck under. So really trying to sit up as high as you can. And lifting your arms up. We're going to try to reach over to the side and then twist and turn and come back. We're just going to move through some positions. We're going to go side to the left, twist to face your foot, straight side and up. Tip side, twist to face your foot, twist side and up, twist side, straight side, twist to face your foot, and side, and up. One more set, side and twist, side and up, side and twist, side and up. We're just going to move through some of those positions a little more fluidly, trying to release the hips. Be very careful with this one as you release the hips. Make sure you're actually releasing and not tensing. So we're going to reach side, sweep through the middle, and come up. Reach side and through the middle and up. Side and sweep and up. During that sweep, you're really releasing and up. And right and sweep and up. Left, sweep, up. Right, sweep, up. Left, sweep, up. One more set. Right and sweep, up. Left and sweep, up. Good. And release all the way over. Trying to keep a flat back, at least for the beginning. Don't just hunch your back over. It feels really good, but don't hunch it over in the beginning. Really try to feel that nice flat back as high up as you need to go to feel that back flat. You're going to get the deepest stretch all the way down into your inner thighs if you can keep your back nice and straight as opposed to hunching where it's not going to stretch as much. If you need to do this facing a wall, so that the wall can help your feet stay open, you can do that as well. Sometimes it can be hard to even get into this position, so if you need to do it sitting with a wall, that's fine. It'll really help you get that stretch in the beginning. If this is all you can get and keep your back straight, that's also just fine. You can get a fabulous stretch just by sitting up nice and tall like this, even better than like hunched over here. This is much better, sitting up straight and tall. Wherever you need to be able to sit up straight and tall. We'll hang out here for a little longer. If you want to move side to side, kind of curl through the middle, move through that range of motion that we just worked, you can do that as well. Just a a little longer. Reach, 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 feeling like your chest is reaching up and out. Long back. And come back up. Bring the legs to the middle and give them a nice little wiggle. Well, that's the routine I like to do for my hips. I like to really work the back of the legs, the front of the hips, the back of the hips, and everything in between. Let's move on to your back. So I like to do just a few things for the back, not too many. I like to do a little bit of bending and a little bit of twisting. So to start off, let's do a little bit of a warm-up. So we'll come to all fours and we'll do a little bit of cat-cow to start. So we'll start here and we'll really tuck your chin and curl your spine. And then reach out nice and long, sticking your tailbone out, sticking your chest out. And curl. Curl, and arch. While we're here, take your right arm up and thread the needle. So your right arm is going to go through your left arm so that your right shoulder ends up touching the mat. If you need more, you can reach your left arm out in front, or you can reach your left arm around to meet your right hip and kind of nestle there. This is a really nice twist for the upper back. You can do either of these modifications, the hand forward in front of your head or around reaching that hip. If both of those are still too much, you can also just leave your left hand right where it is. My favorite is the hand over the head. We'll just hang out here for a little bit. Stretching, feeling that twist, releasing into it. And plant your left hand under your shoulder if it wasn't already there. Come back up and counter twist. Other side. So left arm reaches up and goes through the right arm all the way down so the shoulder touches the ground. Two modification options. If you want more, you could reach your hand out over your head or you can reach it around to match, to find your left hip. Either one. Or you can leave your right arm right where it was. Stretching here, feeling the twist in your upper back. Every breath releases something. And plant your right hand on the ground. Bring your left hand open and little counter stretch. Then we'll lay down on our stomach. We'll plant the hands right under the shoulders. So you don't want them out or too far back. Just right under the shoulders. We're going to roll your shoulders back and press up. Again, don't let your shoulders come up to your ears. Roll them down and back and press up. And down. We'll do a couple of quick ones. Roll down and press up. Lightly engaging the glutes so you protect your lower back. Don't let it be soft, otherwise it's all going to go straight into your lower back. Pull the shoulders back and lift. Be very gentle on this stretch. Don't force anything with that lower back. If you've ever had any back issues, make sure that you're very, very careful with this stretch. If you need a little bit of extra, and this doesn't hurt or pinch, you can lift those back feet and try to reach your head up to your back feet. Or if this one's enough, you're welcome to stay right there. And come down. Little counter stretch. We'll push back into a child's pose. So on your knees, you're going to lay all the way down on the mat. Forehead to the mat. Feeling the stretch in your back. Keep breathing. Enjoy this moment. Next, let's work on the upper back a little bit. So I like to use the TheraBand for this. So we're going to lay on our stomachs and work on some strength in the upper back. So upper back is a lot of strength to be able to pull your spine, especially the thoracic spine right at the very top of your back. So right around here in your back. This part of your spine is really needed for arabesque. And you need it for being able to pull the top of your back up when you're in arabesque or an attitude or anything with the leg extended to the back. So we need to develop a lot of strength back here. So we'll start laying on our stomach with the TheraBand about shoulder width apart. If you don't have a TheraBand, you can do it without a TheraBand, but it just adds a little bit of extra resistance. So you're going to start by pulling your arms apart. Don't let them go too wide. You don't want them to be out here. You want them to go apart just about 6 more inches. So pull them apart and lift. You're going to really try to lift with your upper back. Don't let your arms go back here. Still see your hands in your peripheral vision. And back down. Pull and lift. Try not to let your feet dangle around. Keep your feet right on the ground. And down. Pull and lift. Again, keeping your hands in front of you. See them out of your peripheral vision. And down. Last one, we're going to hold it. Pull and lift. Now we're going to lift the right leg. Try to keep your tummy tucked, really pulling the belly button to the spine. Lift the left leg. Lift the right leg. Lift the left leg. And down and rest. Push back into one more child's pose. Reverse the stretch on the low back. Pressing back on the knees, forehead to the mat. Breathing. And come back up. Last thing I like to do for my upper body is a little bit of shoulders and a little bit of back. So I like to sit wherever's comfortable. For me, that's kind of on my knees with my legs folded. If that's crisscross with your legs or standing up, all of those are great. So take the TheraBand as wide as you'd like. I usually do about this wide, and you're going to circle it overhead, forward and back. Be really careful with this stretch. Start wider than you think you need. Make sure there's nothing crunchy going on in your shoulders. If there is, go a little wider with the TheraBand. And trying to make sure it's even so you don't get one and then the other coming over, that you get them going nice and straight up overhead. We're going to do about 6 more of these. If you are not feeling much of a stretch, you can move your hands closer together on the TheraBand, or you can try to really close your ribs and make sure you're not sticking your chest out to make it happen. Keep your ribs in and just let the shoulders do the work, keeping it nice and even. Just about 2 more. We really need this for that gorgeous port-a-bras. This last one, we're going to hold it right behind the shoulders and just go up and down over that really hard part right in the middle of the shoulder blade. Just going up and down, little tiny pulses. Up and down, up and down. Just a couple more. When you're done, we're going to release by pulling the TheraBand back up over your head, all the way up and over. Whew, shake it out. Last thing for the upper back is just a little exercise that I like to do to try to keep some of this flexibility that we just got. So if it doesn't help if we can open our shoulders that much, we need to be able to actually actively open them that far ourselves. So I like to hold the TheraBand about this wide, put it right over my rib cage, so right where the top of your ribs are, where that little bit comes between your rib cage. Right there, we're going to hold the TheraBand and we're going to try to pull your elbows together behind you. This is really going to try to get your upper back right where we were trying to stretch with those little Supermans laying on the floor. Really trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together, pull the elbows behind you, working that upper back. We do about 10 of these. 5. And last one, hold it in the back. Do little pulses, keeping the tension the entire time. Pulling the elbows behind you. Keep pulsing, pulsing, pulsing. The upper back should be on fire by now. Maybe right over the scapula. Maybe right over the middle of the spine. Good. And release. You can curve forward, try to stretch it out. That is all for today, dancers. I hope you got a really fabulous stretch today. I hope you're nice and warm and that you're really closer to reaching all of your flexibility goals. Remember that stretching takes a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, and a lot of mental work to really tell your body that everything is going to be okay, your leg's not going to rip off, and really let all that tension go. So keep at it, keep stretching as often as you can, and until next time, let me know all about your favorite stretches in the comments below. Take care.